I'm Leho, and welcome to my first YouTube video I've made in quite a while. So, today I'm going to make a very tasty Chinese dish for you that consists of tomato and egg. And this is a very lovely dish which I've grown up eating. And it's very simple as well too. So currently I'm living in Tulum, Mexico, so there's not the most biggest selection of Chinese stuff in the grocery stores. But I was craving Chinese food a lot the past few days, and so I decided to make this dish, which is very simple, and we are going to make the simplified version of it, as I couldn't find a few ingredients like rice wine and stuff, but it's going to be amazing nevertheless. So, stay tuned, guys. So, to start this dish, I always love rice to go with it, so I got some rice over here. And since we're doing a simplified version today, we're not going to be using any measuring cups or anything. We're just going to use our eyes to measure, and hopefully it's correct. But it should be, because I do have a few Chinese tricks of measuring the water in the rice to teach you. So yeah. So first of all, you want to put the rice in, and I'm aiming for about 1 cup. This package says it's 500 grams, 250 grams is a cup of water. So let's put about half of this package in. Perfect. Okay, so before we measure the water in the pan, we need to wash the rice first, as that's very important. When I wash the rice, I always make sure to keep on continually washing it until the water is basically not murky anymore. Then once the water is nice and murky, you pour it out like this. Put some water in and just heat. So now when the water looks something like that, you can clearly see the rice in the bottom. That is pretty clean, washed rice. And now we're gonna head back to the stove and measure that water. Alright, so I'm gonna make this nice and flat first so it's easy to measure. And so one tip I've learned is your water should be 2 finger spots over the rice. Now this is a little bit messy because it's not like an even layer of rice here. But if you mess up too bad, it's not that bad. Because you just have slightly softer rice, but you can never go too wrong with it. Because softer rice is nice too. Yeah, that should be good. And you can always add on more water when you're cooking if you don't feel like you've put in enough as well too. Alright, now that we have our rice in the pot, let's get the stuff on the side of the pan down too. We're just gonna cover that up. And then put it to a boil first. So I'm gonna put it up at 9, and then once it gets to a boil, I'm gonna turn it back down to a nice gentle simmer. Alright, perfect. That's at 9 right now. Alright, so now let's get started with our tomato and egg preparation. Okay, so for today's recipe, you need 3 eggs, 3 tomatoes, green onion, both are freshly washed, and also sesame oil and soya sauce as well too. Very simple recipe. So first off, you're going to start off with cracking all 3 eggs into a bowl. There we go. Then you're going to beat all 3 of the eggs all together. I am not the best at beating eggs. Oh, and then one thing I almost forgot is salt and pepper. So normally in Chinese culture we would use white pepper, although I couldn't find any. So we're gonna use black pepper instead, and it's gonna be fine. It tastes pretty similar, honestly. Alright, so pepper in it, and then I'm gonna add in some salt as well too. Alright, I'm just stir that in right now. Amazing. Alright, now we're gonna set our eggs aside, and we're gonna get started on cutting our tomatoes. Now, you can peel the tomatoes if you want them to be extra tender, although I don't really mind if they aren't peeled. I've actually never had them that way. Yeah, always had them to peel on. Just a little fun fact. Alright, so I don't know the proper way to cut tomatoes, but I'm just gonna do it how I usually do it. I just cut both sides down. And let's go into 8 slices like this. The last 2 slices are always trickiest. Perfect, there's your 1 tomato. I'm gonna get a bowl for that one first. And let's see how the rice is doing too. Alright, so the rice is currently boiling. I'm gonna quickly turn that down to a simmer. So it went from a 9 to a 5 for me. And then I'm gonna stir the rice a little bit so that it's not all clumped in one area and all the rice can absorb an even amount of water. Okay, perfect. Alright, let's go back to tomatoes now. So I'm just gonna move these cut up tomatoes into the bowl. Okay, and I'm gonna cut the rest of the tomatoes now. Here we go. And then last tomato now. I feel like someone's gonna comment, why are you cutting the top off? You're supposed to keep it on. So yeah, let me know if I'm supposed to cut the top of the tomato off and rate my cutting skills from 1 to 10 in the comments down below, guys. Let's see what you guys think of my cooking skills. And this one's kind of falling apart, so I'm not gonna cut an 8th piece out of it because I want to keep all the juices in. And yeah, if there's any like insides, you can just put them in as well too. One time I made this for my white friend, and he helped me cut the insides of the tomatoes off. And I'm like, no, you keep them in. What? Yeah. So it's just funny how like different cultures have different cooking practices. I'm gonna toss this away now. So now that we have our egg and tomato, our next step is to chop up some onion. So I'm gonna take this cutting board. I'm gonna go give it a rinse really quickly. Alright, and yes, this is freshly washed green onion, and we're just gonna cut a good amount off the top because this is basically for our garnish at the very end. Just do the proper cutting hand technique. And I love green onion, honestly. This is one of my favorite garnishes ever. So I do cut a lot off, just because I love it so much. Alright, that should be enough. Alright, so we're just gonna leave this right here and set it aside for later. This is the garnish. And let's get the pan ready so we can start cooking our dish. So we have our rice cooking right over here now. It smells like it's ready. Just have a little taste. That smells so good right now. I haven't had Chinese white rice in so long. I went to this this Chinese restaurant here and they got some sweet and sour pork, but it just wasn't the same. It was brown rice, which is fine. You know, we use it in Chinese cooking a lot, but I just miss pure white rice. Alright. So, as I said before, you can always add on more water if you need to. I feel like the rice is a little bit hard right now. So I'm going to add on a tiny bit more water. And then I'm going to stir it in. Make sure my spoon barely touches the bottom, because this is a metal. And I'm going to move this up to this higher element here, so you guys can watch me cook the tomato and egg very clearly. Alright, so I'm going to grab a new pan for tomato and egg. Preferably a wok is the best kind of pan you can have, although I don't have one here, so this is the next best thing. And I'm going to be using sesame oil. Now I could have chosen vegetable oil at the grocery store, which is what they usually use, but because I don't want to buy too many ingredients and I'm traveling still, I bought sesame oil because it's a bit more tasteful. And yeah, it suits this dish, so why not? So I'm going to put a good amount in. I would put in about like 1 teaspoon, maybe 2. But this is for frying the eggs. So you just want to make sure you don't stick to your pan too much. And then, yeah. Alright, so I'm going to put heat up, and then yeah, we're gonna put the eggs in right after. Okay, so now that we have our oil heated up, I'm gonna pour the eggs in. So, nice. And then we're just gonna scramble these eggs. Doesn't have to be pretty. Yeah, just get them nice and scrambled, and we are good. Alright, so when you scramble the eggs, you don't have to have them be 100% cooked because they're going to go back into the pan later on. So once they're about, I would say like 80% to 90% cooked, put them back into the same bowl they came from. Alright, perfect. And now, your next step is to put in some sesame oil, same as before, about 2 teaspoons. And now, wait for the oil to heat up, which it looks like it's doing so pretty fast. Now, it's already bubbling. And then we're gonna get the tomatoes, and yeah, it seems the oil for our tomatoes are ready too. So we're just gonna pop those in. There we are. So we're just gonna keep on frying these tomatoes until they get nice and soft. And I would say that's about like 4 to 6 minutes. As soon as you can poke your spatula right through and it goes through very easily, that's when the tomatoes are ready. As you can see, the water's turning red, which means the juices are coming out, which is amazing. That means it's getting nice and soft. Just gonna keep on doing this for a tiny bit longer, and it should be ready. And you know what? I had a little bit of an idea today, and since we aren't doing the recipe the traditional way, I am gonna put some sriracha ketchup inside. Just a little bit, just for a little bit of taste, since I don't have the regular ingredients that they usually use, which is a bit of garlic, and it's also like a teaspoon of sugar as well too. I didn't want to buy sugar because I had to buy like a whole big bag for a small teaspoon. So instead, we're gonna put in some ketchup, sriracha ketchup. Alright, let's continue frying this for a bit longer. Look how soft these tomatoes are getting. Don't be afraid to turn the heat up if you need to, because turning the heat up does speed things up and it makes them get softer, get some juices out, and do not worry, because we're going to use all these juices. Put the eggs back in. Amazing! And the eggs are just going to help absorb some of those tomato juices as well too, so that you get some of the tomato flavor as well. Smells almost like home. It's lovely. Like, I've been craving Chinese food for so long on this trip, and yeah, it dawned on me that I probably won't find a good restaurant for a while, so I'll make it myself. Alright, so I'm gonna put in a little bit more salt and pepper. Turn the heat down as well too. As you can see, after I cooked my tomatoes, there was a lot of juices up. So you do want the juices to kind of thicken a little bit. And some people put cornstarch in. But I think if you keep it on the heat and the liquid evaporates, then yeah, that's pretty good, honestly. But yeah, you could put a teaspoon of cornstarch in to help it thicken up as well too. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna put a little bit of soy sauce in as well too. Tiny little bit. Okay, perfect. That might be a bit too much actually. Hopefully not. But it's gonna taste good nevertheless. And then yeah, look at this. Look how amazing that looks. Very simple. Very few ingredients, except for the egg and tomato. You probably already have the others at home. And yes, here you have it. So now that our tomato and egg is done, I'm gonna start the plating process. Obviously, you're gonna put all this into a bowl. Everything in. You don't want to waste any food. A very important Chinese thing. If you're Chinese or Asian, you probably have a mom who never wants you to waste food. You know, make sure you eat the last bite of everything. So yeah, that has been pretty ingrained into me as well too. So we don't waste food here. So now that I have my thing plated, we're gonna go to the green onions, and then we're gonna take them and not even use a knife, just use your hands. And just put some on for garnish. Sprinkle it all around. I love a lot, so I'm just gonna put all of it on. Perfect. Just gonna scrape the knife ends off too. Gotta get everything in. And there you have it. This is the Chinese dish of tomato and egg, and it tastes amazing. And yeah, as I said before, you probably already have the other ingredients at home: oil, soya sauce, salt and pepper. And yeah, the only things you really need are tomato and egg, and also the green onion as well too. And yeah, it's a quick meal. It's pretty much like a stir fry. And yeah, it tastes delicious, especially with rice. And we're gonna try it out right now, actually. Okay, so my other camera ran out of battery, but it's kind of perfect because the video is pretty much done except for the trial. So let's test this out. So I got my rice over here, and I'm gonna dig my spoon into some tomato and egg. And I love mixing it into my rice as well too. So if you like doing that, you can do that. It's a cool way of eating it. Okay, and yeah, usually you would use chopsticks, but we're traveling right now, so we use what we have. Alright, let's try it out. And yes, these are very soft tomatoes. You just cut right through like that. I get some egg, some tomato, some green onion into one spoonful. Just blow it a little bit. A bit less. I like my bite smaller, to be honest. Oh, I miss this dish so much, guys. This definitely hits the right spot. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was very much fun to make. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you guys do try this recipe at home, let me know. Send me a photo. I'm really interested to see. And yeah, thank you so much. Mwah.